What if I told you that to truly find yourself, you need to disappear? This isn't about running away or vanishing into thin air. It's about retreating from the noise, stepping back from the distractions and expectations that have consumed your time and attention. What I'm talking about is a deliberate and quiet decision to focus on yourself in a way that feels almost strange in today's world. A few years ago, I was lost. Maybe you've felt it too. I woke up every day feeling like I was on a treadmill, constantly moving but never getting anywhere. Between work, social media, and the endless chase to keep up, I felt disconnected from myself. I was drowning in expectations that weren't even my own. One night, as I scrolled mindlessly through my phone, I caught myself comparing my life to people I didn't even know. Their success, their joy, it made me feel smaller somehow. That's when the question hit me, whose life am I living? I realized that I had been living for others, chasing approval, striving for validation, and molding myself into what I thought I should be. It wasn't just exhausting, it was suffocating. So I made a choice. I didn't announce it or explain it to anyone. I didn't ask for permission or approval. I simply began pulling back. Little by little, I logged off social media for a week. I started journaling every morning instead of checking my notifications. I began carving out time to reflect on who I was and what I wanted, not for anyone else, but for me. At first, it felt strange. The silence was uncomfortable, almost unsettling, but over time, I started to hear something I hadn't heard in years, my own voice. That decision to disappear in the quietest, most intentional way changed my life. It wasn't about abandoning my responsibilities or running away from the world. It was about creating space to rediscover myself. And that's what I want to share with you today. This isn't just a story about me, it's a challenge for you. If you've been feeling lost, overwhelmed, or stuck in the patterns of your life, disappearing might be exactly what you need to transform. By the end of this journey, you'll see that disappearing isn't about hiding. It's about stepping back so you can step forward with purpose. It's about tuning out the noise to hear what truly matters. So, are you ready to take the first step? Before we begin, please subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss out on more amazing videos like this. Let's get started. Why life feels stuck? Why does it feel like no matter what you do, you're not moving forward? Today, it's easy to feel stuck. Every day is a constant push and pull of responsibilities, expectations, and distractions. You wake up already behind, trying to catch up on messages, emails, and deadlines. And then there's the ever-present scroll, the curated lives of others on social media that make you question your own. But here's the truth. You're not stuck because you're not trying hard enough. You're stuck because your energy is being pulled in too many directions. Think about it. How often do you start your day already in reaction mode? You open your phone and suddenly you're bombarded with everyone else's priorities. Notifications, emails, and the latest drama on social media take over your mental bandwidth before you've even had time to think about what you need. It's not your fault. We live in a world designed to keep us distracted. Social media, for instance, is engineered to keep you scrolling. The endless feed, the likes, the comments, they are all triggers for dopamine hits that make you feel good in the moment, but leave you emptier in the long run. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. But how can you harness that power when your mind is constantly flooded with noise? The problem isn't just the distractions themselves, it's what they're stealing from you. Every time you compare your life to someone else's, you lose a little bit of your vision. Every time you say yes to something you don't truly care about, you say no to something that could have been meaningful. Life starts to feel stuck because you're not living intentionally. Instead of being the creator of your story, you've become a passive participant. The result is that you start to feel overwhelmed, overworked, and disconnected from the things that truly matter. And it's not just about distractions, it's also about expectations. Society has a way of placing invisible rules on us. By this age, you're supposed to have this job. By that age, you're supposed to have this house or that relationship. When you fall short of those expectations, even if they're completely arbitrary, it's easy to feel like you've failed. But what if the problem isn't that you're failing? What if the problem is that you're chasing the wrong goals altogether? Let's look at our mind as a garden. When left untended, weeds of self-doubt, distraction, and societal pressure take over. They choke out the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. The more you let them grow, the harder it is to see what's underneath. But here's the good news. You can take control. The first step is recognizing that the life you're living isn't entirely yours. It's a patchwork of expectations, comparisons, and habits you've inherited without question. You don't have to keep living this way. You don't have to stay stuck. But to change, you'll need to do something radical. Step away from the noise. Stop reacting to the world around you and start listening to the world within you. You might not be able to change the distractions or pressures overnight, but you can choose how much power you give them. It starts with one small decision: to disappear, not forever, but just long enough to reset and rediscover what truly matters to you. The decision to disappear. Now, you might be asking yourself, what does it mean to disappear? To disappear doesn't mean vanishing completely or abandoning your life. Instead, disappearing is about stepping back, not from your responsibilities, but from the noise and distractions that keep you stuck. It's about creating intentional space for clarity and transformation. The first step is understanding why disappearing matters. When you're constantly surrounded by distractions, social media, endless notifications, or even the expectations of those around you, it's almost impossible to hear your thoughts. Your inner voice, the one that knows what you truly want, gets drowned out. To disappear is to reclaim your focus. But let's be clear, disappearing is not about isolation or running away. It's about looking inward and finding the courage to confront yourself. It's about quietly stepping off the stage of public performance so you can start living authentically. Pulling back can feel terrifying. Why? Because we've been conditioned to believe that constant connection equals value. The more visible you are, the more you're winning. Right? Social media reinforces this by rewarding visibility with likes, followers, and validation. But visibility isn't the same as growth. In fact, it often keeps us stuck. The more you focus on performing for others, the less energy you have for genuine transformation. Take a moment to think about this. How much of your life is lived for others? How often do you make choices based on what you think will impress, please, or satisfy someone else? Disappearing is about breaking free from that cycle. It's about permitting yourself to step back, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Are there benefits to disappearing? When you disappear, something remarkable happens. You start to see what really matters. With fewer distractions, you can focus on your values, goals, and desires. By detaching from the need for external validation, you free yourself to live authentically. You'll also find that you have more energy for the things that truly matter without the constant drain of comparison and performance. Disappearing creates space for growth. Think of it like pruning a tree. By cutting back on what's unnecessary, you allow new, healthy growth to take root. Even great minds throughout history understood this. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, practiced solitude to gain perspective. In his writings, he often reflected on the importance of stepping back from the chaos of the world to focus on what truly matters. If one of the most powerful men in history found value in disappearing, why shouldn't you now? If you're wondering how to start this process, I'll tell you what I tell everyone who comes up to me with the same question. Start small. You don't need to make dramatic changes overnight. Take 2 days to disconnect from social media, email, and other digital distractions. Use this time to journal, reflect, or simply enjoy the silence. Let people know that you're taking time for yourself. You don't have to explain why, just say you need space. If possible, dedicate time for solitude. It doesn't matter if it's 10 minutes in the morning or an hour in the evening. Carve out time each day to be alone with your thoughts. These small acts might feel insignificant, but they're powerful. Each one is a step toward reclaiming your life. Think about anyone who has undergone a major transformation. Often, their story includes a period of retreat, a time when they stepped away from the spotlight to focus on themselves. One example is J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, Rowling spent years writing in solitude without sharing her work publicly. Her decision to focus on her craft away from external pressures allowed her to create something extraordinary. Your transformation doesn't have to be as dramatic, but the principle is the same. Disappearing gives you the space to rebuild, refocus, and ultimately come back stronger. Busy and distracted, but real courage lies in stepping back. It's in saying, I need this time for myself, no matter how it looks to others. Disappearing isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It means you're willing to confront the discomfort of silence and solitude because you know that's where transformation begins. Transforming through reflection. True transformation begins in silence. When you remove the distractions and give yourself the gift of stillness, you create the conditions for deep reflection. Reflection isn't just a passive exercise, it's an active journey inward where you uncover the truths about who you are, what you want, and what's holding you back. It's in this space of quiet honesty that transformation begins. Let's say you're trying to navigate a ship through foggy waters. Without clear visibility, you could end up drifting aimlessly, wasting time and energy. Reflection clears the fog. It helps you see where you are and chart a path forward. But why is it so hard to reflect? Modern life doesn't encourage us to sit with ourselves. We're taught to keep moving, keep achieving, keep chasing the next thing. But as Marcus Aurelius wrote, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Reflection is how you create that retreat. When you stop and take inventory of your life, you gain clarity. You begin to notice the patterns that keep you stuck, the habits that drain your energy, and the dreams you've ignored for too long. This awareness is the first step toward change. Reflection doesn't require a fancy setup. All you need is a little space, a little quiet, and a willingness to be honest with yourself. Writing is one of the most powerful tools for self-reflection. It slows down your thoughts and forces you to articulate what you're feeling. It lets you ask yourself the tough questions. What do I truly want in my life? What am I holding on to that no longer serves me? What would my ideal day look like? I always advise people to write freely. Don't worry about grammar or structure. Just let your thoughts flow. The act of putting pen to paper is transformative in itself. Meditating is also a hack for reflection. It isn't about emptying your mind. It's about observing it. Sit in silence for 5 to 10 minutes, focusing on your breath. When thoughts arise, notice them without judgment and let them pass. Over time, this practice helps you develop clarity and emotional resilience. Also, try to practice daily check-ins. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes to reflect. Ask yourself what went well today. What could I have done differently? How did I honor my goals or values today? These small acts of reflection build awareness over time, helping you make intentional choices instead of reacting to life's chaos. With these practices, you'll discover that reflection is like holding up a mirror to your life. It's not always easy to look into, but it reveals the truth. And that truth is your foundation for growth. You'll find that with time, you start to wonder what you really want and not what others expect from you. You'll discover what habits or relationships are holding you back, or which ones are moving you forward. You'll also be able to come to terms with what you're afraid of. Most times, these fears are the invisible barriers keeping you from transformation. Reflection brings these elements to the surface where you can finally address them. It's uncomfortable at times, but discomfort is where growth happens. Reflection isn't just about awareness, it's about using that awareness to take action. Look at your life and choose 3 areas where you'd like to see change. Maybe it's your health, your relationships, or your career. Write them down. Start small. If your goal is to improve your health, commit to drinking more water or taking a daily walk. If you want to grow in your career, spend 15 minutes a day learning a new skill. Small steps create momentum. Use your journal to track how you're doing. Reflect on what's working, what's not, and how you can adjust. This keeps you accountable and focused. The ancient Stoics practiced daily reflection as a cornerstone of their philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, for example, used his journal to reflect on his thoughts, actions, and intentions. He wrote not for an audience, but for himself as a way to align his life with his values. You can do the same. At the start or end of each day, ask yourself, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short and why? How can I do better tomorrow? This isn't about self-criticism. It's about growth. By reflecting daily, you create a feedback loop that helps you make better choices over time. Think of reflection as polishing a mirror. When the mirror is covered in dust, it distorts your view. But as you clean it bit by bit, the image becomes clearer. That mirror is your life. Reflection is how you remove the dust of doubt, distraction, and fear until you can see yourself clearly. Transformation requires honesty. It's easy to tell yourself comforting lies to avoid facing the parts of your life that feel uncomfortable, but honesty is the foundation of growth. When you're willing to face the truth, no matter how messy it feels, You give yourself the power to change it. Reflection is your tool for honesty. It's how you strip away the noise and reconnect with what's real. I have a challenge for you. Dedicate 10 minutes today to reflection. Write, meditate, or simply sit in silence. Ask yourself one powerful question. What is one thing I need to let go of to move forward? Don't rush the answer. Sit with it, let it unfold, and trust that clarity will come. Rebuilding from the ground up. Disappearing and reflecting are the first steps. What comes next is the hard, deliberate work of rebuilding. This is where transformation truly begins, not in sudden sweeping changes, but in small, consistent actions that align your life with your values and goals. Think of your life as a house. For years, you've been piling things onto shaky foundations, other people's expectations, distractions, and habits that no longer serve you. To rebuild, you need to tear down what's unstable and construct something stronger. Brick by brick. Transformation starts in the mind. If your thoughts remain rooted in old patterns, no amount of external change will last. Start by letting go of external validation. The need for constant approval is a cage that keeps you from true freedom. Ask yourself, if no one were watching, what would I do differently? Adopt a growth-oriented perspective. Mistakes aren't failures, they're lessons. Every setback is an opportunity to learn, adapt, and improve. The Stoic Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Practicing new habits can also help. Habits are the structure of your life. They dictate how you spend your time, energy, and attention. If you want to become the best version of yourself, you need habits that support your goals. Start with these foundational habits, like your morning routine. How you begin your day sets the tone for everything else. Create a routine that prioritizes clarity and focus. For example, wake up without checking your phone. Spend 10 minutes journaling or meditating. Move your body, even if it's just a short stretch or walk. Plan your day with intention. Your body is the engine of your transformation. Treat it well, eat nourishing, whole foods, and stay hydrated. Also, prioritize sleep quality. Rest is non-negotiable. Growth requires learning. Dedicate time each day to improving a skill or exploring a passion. This doesn't have to be for work or anyone else. Choose something that excites and challenges you. Rebuilding your life means protecting your energy. Say no to things that drain you, and yes to the things that align with your values. Remember, every yes is a no to something else. Once your mindset and habits are in place, it's time to connect with your why. Purpose is the roof that protects and gives meaning to everything you've built. To find your purpose, reflect on these questions. What brings me joy? What challenges am I willing to endure for the sake of growth? How can I use my strengths to make an impact? Your purpose doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It just has to matter to you. Maybe it's raising a family, creating art, or building a career you're proud of. Purpose gives direction to your actions and helps you navigate challenges with resilience. Transformation isn't a single event. It's a process of daily commitment. Small actions repeated consistently create big results over time. To put this in perspective, let's use the stories of Oprah. Before becoming a media mogul, Oprah faced countless rejections and setbacks. Her success didn't happen overnight. It was the result of years of consistent effort and self-belief. Try to think of your life a year from now if you start today. The small changes you make now could lead to a completely different reality. Rebuilding your life is like tending to a garden. First, you clear out the weeds, distractions, bad habits, and limiting beliefs. Then you plant seeds, new habits, goals, and values. Finally, you nurture those seeds with consistent effort and care. At first, the changes might seem small, almost invisible, but over time, with patience and persistence, your garden will flourish. Rebuilding is hard work. It requires discipline, patience, and a willingness to embrace discomfort. But the reward is worth it. A life that feels authentic, purposeful, and aligned with who you truly are. Start today. Choose one habit to build, one mindset shift to embrace, or one boundary to set. Focus on progress, not perfection. And remember, rebuilding doesn't happen overnight, but every brick you lay brings you closer to the life you deserve. The journey you've taken from disappearing to transforming isn't easy. It requires courage, patience, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. But the reward is undeniable, a life that feels aligned, purposeful, and authentically yours. Now it's your turn. What's one step you can take today to begin your transformation? Maybe it's taking a break from social media, starting a journal, or dedicating time to reflect on your goals. Whatever it is, commit to it. I challenge you to disappear, not forever, but for long enough to reset, refocus, and reconnect with yourself. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to commit to your journey. Write "I'm ready" in the comments as a sign of your decision to step back and transform. And remember, the world doesn't need a louder version of you. It needs the truest version of you, the version that's aligned, focused, and unapologetically authentic. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more empowering content like this. Stay strong, and we'll see you in the next video. Are you your own boss, not just at work or on paper, but in every aspect of your life? Because this is a change you can make. You can learn to be fully and completely in charge of your own life. In this video, we'll give you a 6-step plan that will show you how to make it happen. Maybe you're thinking, I can't learn that through a video. My life is complicated. You don't understand, but this plan does work if you'll commit to taking it seriously. It works because it addresses the one factor that remains constant across every personal struggle: you. Here is what we'll cover in our 6-step system to transform you from a passenger in your life to the commander of your soul. First, we'll start with the reality check that serves as our foundation. Second, extreme ownership, where you stop treating circumstances like a tragedy. Third, ending self-sabotage through decisive action. Fourth, practical Stoic principles for facing the chaos of life. Fifth, drafting a winning plan. And sixth, executing it with daily practices to put it all into action. It won't be comfortable, and it won't be easy. But on the other side of this lies the vast, alarming, gorgeous range of possibilities awaiting those brave enough and strong enough to become their own master. The first step is to face reality without flinching. You must start with honesty as your foundation. Let's be brutally honest. You aren't the master of your life right now. Not even close. You've created a gorgeous, idealized mirage of what control looks like. That perfect version of yourself who never procrastinates, never doubts, never surrenders to fear or comfort. But that mirage is precisely what's keeping you stuck. The foundation of self-mastery isn't some inspirational fantasy. It is the courage to look at your life exactly as it is, messy, imperfect, and occasionally disappointing. You weren't put on this earth to create a carefully curated existence, scrubbed clean of all inconvenience and challenge. You are here to experience the full, terrifying range of being human. Every time you flinch away from an uncomfortable truth about yourself, you surrender a piece of your power. Every time you blame circumstances instead of claiming responsibility, you become the passenger in your own life. Every time you convince yourself that someday you'll finally take charge, you're just postponing the moment of actual transformation. The illusion of control is seductive precisely because it requires nothing of you. It lets you drift in a fantasy where someday, somehow, everything will magically align. The reality of self-mastery demands that you wake up to where you actually are. You can change what you are if you can recognize what that is first. The journey begins with this step. So take inventory. Where have you surrendered your power? Where have you chosen comfort over growth? Where have you been lying to yourself? This isn't about shame. It's about clarity. Because you can't steer a ship if you refuse to acknowledge which way it's actually pointing. And the moment you do is the moment things finally start to get better. Now that you've faced reality, it's time to take what's rightfully yours, complete ownership of your life. This is our second step, extreme ownership. How often do you find yourself playing the lead in your own personal tragedy, the victim of circumstances, bad luck, or other people's actions? This narrative is the single greatest obstacle between you and true self-mastery. Here is the uncomfortable truth. The world isn't fair. People aren't always kind. And circumstances won't always align with your desires. But that doesn't mean your life is a tragedy unless you decide to write it that way. The ancient Stoics understood what many of us have forgotten. There's a fundamental dichotomy of control. Some things are within your power and others aren't. The weather, other people's actions, global events, these aren't yours to command. But your responses, your decisions, your focus, these belong entirely to you. When you live in a mental maze of perceived offenses and conspiracies against you, you surrender your power to the outside world. Every finger you point outward drains energy you could be using to build your own strength. Blame makes you smaller, not stronger. Try this exercise. Take 3 recent complaints you've made about your life and transform each into a commitment. My boss doesn't appreciate me becomes I commit to making my value undeniable. I don't have time for fitness becomes I commit to prioritizing my health. A bad person cost me an opportunity becomes I will create my next opportunity. I'm not pretending hardships don't exist. I'm saying you should refuse to surrender your power to them. When you embrace extreme ownership, you stop waiting for the world to make things right. You do something much better. You reclaim the power that was yours all along. Now that you've claimed ownership, it's time to stop the most insidious form of self-sabotage, inaction. This brings us to our third principle, the imperative for action. You've felt it before, that feeling of anxiety when faced with important decisions or big tasks. We are taught that clarity comes before action, but this gets it backward. Taking action is what kills anxiety. Movement creates clarity when thinking can't. Let's call procrastination what it really is. Self-betrayal. Every time you put off what matters, you're stealing from your future self. You're making secret promises you have no intention of keeping, accumulating a debt of broken trust with the person who matters the most in your life. Many take comfort in the myth that preparation equals progress. They research endlessly, plan meticulously, and organize obsessively, mistaking motion for action. But preparation without execution is just stalling. Your perfectly crafted plan means nothing if it stays theoretical. The cure for paralysis isn't perfect action, it's just action. Even imperfect actions create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates results. Here is your exercise. Identify one action that genuinely terrifies you. Something important that you've been avoiding. That terror isn't a warning sign. It's a beacon pointing directly to where your greatest growth will arise. Now commit to taking that action within 24 hours, no matter what. Psychologically, your brain will naturally prefer the safety of planning over the vulnerability of doing. But real self-mastery happens in that vulnerable space, where you finally stop preparing to live and start actually living. Your future self is waiting for you to fulfill your promises. So fulfill them and start making good on your promise today. Now that you've committed to action, it's time to develop the mindset that will sustain you as you work to reclaim ownership of all that you are. This is our fourth step, creating your mastery mentality. For most of us, the pursuit of comfort has become a modern religion. But comfort is the enemy of becoming. It lulls you into stagnation while whispering that you're safe. True safety isn't found in avoiding difficulty, it's in becoming the person who can face anything. Let's take stock of what a good life is. We are here to witness wild love and disappointment, and unexpected sickness, and eventually death. This isn't pessimism, it's the truth. We face it head-on so that we can move forward. When we accept the full spectrum of existence, we're not held hostage by the fear of what might happen. The ancient Stoics practiced amor fati, the love of fate. This is the radical choice to find beauty and lessons in whatever happens, not because everything is beautiful, but because this perspective gives you power no circumstance can take away. Here's an exercise to help you put you back in control of your own life and back on top. Identify something you've been avoiding, a situation, emotion, or truth, and challenge yourself to find genuine beauty in it. If you can't find a lesson, find something you can value. The pain that's making you stronger, the rejection that's redirecting you, the uncertainty that's teaching you to trust yourself. Do this to get stronger, as the ancient Stoics did. You can prepare for the blows of fate in small ways. For example, start practicing voluntary discomfort, cold showers, fasting, hard conversations, deliberately putting yourself in situations that challenge you, and train your mind to deal with uncertainty and tough situations. In short, in order to master your life, you must master yourself. And you can start on that by strengthening your responses under stress. True freedom isn't the absence of challenge. You will face challenges in this life. You can't change that because it's certain. What you can change is how you respond to them with the help of Stoic wisdom. So focus on that, on developing a self that will triumph over everything, and you will be free. This brings us to our fifth step, creating a life of freedom, a life worth leading. But be warned, to create such a life, some things are going to have to go. True self-mastery requires the courage to cut what doesn't serve you. Most people accumulate commitments, relationships, and obligations until they're suffocating under the weight of their own lives. Being your own master means having the courage to say no, not just to others, but to parts of yourself that keep you small. Look at your calendar, your relationships, your habits. Which of these truly align with your deepest values, which are simply the result of drift, people-pleasing, or fear? Past a certain point, freedom doesn't come from adding more to your life. It comes from ruthlessly eliminating what doesn't belong. Any plan you come up with must include strategic abandonment. Identify what you'll stop doing, what relationships you'll gracefully exit, what commitments you'll wind down. Because to be truly free, you must reclaim ownership of your time and energy. But be prepared. People who benefit from your current boundaries will resist when you establish new ones. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. Here is your exercise. Create 2 lists, one with everything that energizes you and aligns with your values, and another with everything that drains you or pulls you off course. Keep what is good, but commit to eliminating one item from the second list each week until it's empty. Remember, no one else will set you free. Liberation is an inside job that requires decisive action. The life you want is waiting on the other side of you, saying no to the life you don't want. Now it's time for our 6th and final step, the concrete practices that transform this plan into true experience. Self-mastery isn't a destination. It's a practice renewed with each sunrise. Begin each day by setting intentions that serve your highest self, not your most reactive self. The goal here is to choose deliberately. Ask yourself, if I were truly my own master, what would I prioritize today? Then act accordingly. Throughout your day, implement pattern interruptions when you feel yourself slipping into old habits of blame or avoidance. Pause. Take 3 deliberate breaths. This creates the space where choice lives. Without this space, you're like a broken record, running the same programs that have kept you stuck. With space and forethought, you can change. Life will test your resolve with disappointments and setbacks. Remember, you have to express your sadness. You have to mourn, but you can't treat your whole life like it's an unfair tragedy. Feel deeply, then choose wisely. Before sleep, conduct an honest inventory. Where did you lead yourself well today? Where did you abdicate your authority? This is the self-leadership you need to move you forward from the life you're living to the life you want. For the next 30 days, try to implement one practice from each section we've covered. Face one uncomfortable truth each morning. Take ownership of one situation you've been blaming on others. Take one imperfect action that terrifies you. Find beauty in one challenge. Eliminate one drain on your energy. Create one moment of deliberate choice. This is the daily workout regimen for the person determined to become their own master. The unburdened life is built one unburdened day at a time. If you can do this, you can get there. And that is how you can become your own master. But don't think of it as some far-off dream. It's a choice you can make today. We've walked through 6 powerful steps that can transform you from just riding along in your life to taking the wheel with confidence. We started with raw honesty, looking at your life without the sugarcoating that keeps you stuck. This truth is your starting point. You can't find your way if you don't know where you're standing. Right now, so many people run from their truth, hiding in denial instead of finding power in facing reality. But you've chosen the harder, braver path, seeing yourself clearly, with all your strengths and flaws. With eyes wide open, by taking complete ownership. Juve stopped seeing life's hard knocks as personal attacks and started seeing them as chances to show your strength. Playing the victim might feel good for a moment, but it leaves you chained to your circumstances instead of rising above them. Every time you blame others, you give away pieces of your power. By owning everything in your life, even the parts that aren't your fault but are now your problem, you take back your control. After that, you face down the near enemy, doing nothing by understanding that clarity comes from taking action, not just thinking about it. You've broken free from the prison of endless planning and stepped into a world of real achievement. Life rewards movement, not just thinking about moving. Your willingness to act, even when scared, is ultimately what will set you free. Behind that, you have the Stoic wisdom you've embraced. This gives you a mindset that finds value in everything that happens, not just the easy stuff. You've learned that choosing discomfort on purpose builds the toughness you'll need when life throws discomfort at you without asking. By learning to love whatever happens, even the hard parts, you've found freedom within your circumstances. Whatever they are, when you deliberately cut out what doesn't matter, you take back your time and energy from things that never served your highest goals. This careful pruning ensures that what's left truly matters. Your courage to say no shows the clarity of your yes. You understand now that adding without subtracting creates mess, not growth. Finally, you've woven these principles into daily habits that strengthen your control over your own life. These aren't one-time choices, but ongoing promises that build up over time, slowly transforming you into the master you were born to be. You've made space between what happens to you and how you respond, where your real power lives. And yet, for all this, there will be days when old habits creep back in, when staying comfortable feels better than being brave. In these moments, return to these principles, not with harsh judgment, but with renewed determination. The master falls, but refuses to stay down. What sets the master apart isn't avoiding failure, but getting back up every single time. The world won't hand you freedom. You have to claim it through deliberate choices and consistent action. While others drift through life at the mercy of whatever happens, you now have the tools to stand firm in your power. You understand that freedom isn't having no limits, it's choosing how you respond to those limits. True power is about fulfilling the responsibilities you've chosen because they match what matters most to you. It's a journey that never ends. Each day brings new challenges to your mastery, new chances to strengthen your command. But with each conscious choice, each moment of taking responsibility, each brave action, you build momentum toward the life waiting for those brave enough to lead themselves. The question isn't whether you can become your own master. You now know the way. The only question left is, will you be brave enough to walk this path every day, to fail sometimes, to get back up, and to keep moving forward until mastery isn't just something you do, but who you are? In upcoming videos, we'll explore how additional ancient Stoic wisdom complements the lessons you've just learned. We'll introduce powerful new concepts to give you a fresh perspective on your daily struggles. These ideas share the same core truth, that becoming your own master requires a complete mental framework. Whether you're battling distraction, fear, or the opinions of others, these Stoic tools provide the perfect complement to your journey of self-mastery. Don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications to join our community of modern masters who are learning to command their lives instead of being commanded by circumstances. Your engagement helps others discover these transformative tools during their moments of need. Each comment sharing your experiences helps refine our understanding of how these ancient practices work in contemporary settings. Until next time, remember Epictetus' powerful words: make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. By applying this system of mastery alongside your own Stoic insights, you'll not only lead yourself effectively, you'll develop an unshakable strength that no external circumstance can breach. The path to mastering yourself is built one choice at a time. Now go out there and do it. Picture your life right now. What do you see if all you see are failures? I want you to know something. That view can change. If you're staring at an endless wasteland, I'm here to show you how to spot the seeds of opportunity. The transformation begins in the most powerful place you can imagine, your mind. In this video, we'll explore 5 proven techniques that turn mental defeat into victories. Each one uses something remarkable you already possess: the incredible power of human thought. Through the wisdom of Stoic philosophy, you'll learn to reshape negative thoughts into an engine for growth. Keep watching until the end, because each technique will build on the last one to construct a bigger whole. By the time we're done, these 5 strategies won't just be concepts, they'll be tools you can use every day. You'll discover how to transform what you once saw as failure into fuel for becoming stronger, more resilient, and more powerful than ever before. Think of it this way: no matter how rough your life might be right now, it could be worse. You can move around and enjoy real freedom. But one of the most famous Stoic thinkers of all time, a man who personified Stoicism and who we still read today, didn't have the good fortune to have a life like ours. I can confidently say that every single person watching this is living a life with more freedom and opportunity than this Stoic did, because he was a slave. This slave's name was Epictetus, and he was born in the year 50 AD. He lived a hard life as a slave, as all slaves do. In fact, his leg was permanently damaged by his master. Yet despite that, Epictetus became one of the most influential philosophers in human history. So this man, who had nothing, no freedom, no possessions, no right to even live on his own, discovered something profound. While his body was in chains, his mind remained free. He realized that true power isn't in controlling your circumstances, but in controlling your response to them. Epictetus' life did eventually become better. Since he was released from slavery after gaining his freedom, Epictetus didn't become bitter, even though he had every right to be. Instead, he built a school where he taught others how to find strength in adversity. His teachings were so powerful that they influenced Roman emperors, modern CEOs, and even prisoners of war, who used his principles to survive unimaginable conditions. We know and honor the name of Epictetus over 1,000 years later. Think about where he started and where he ended, using only the power of his mind. If Epictetus could find freedom and strength while literally enslaved, imagine what you can do with the challenges you're facing. His life proves that your circumstances don't define you, your response to them does. Let me show you how to apply his wisdom to your life. Epictetus said some things are in our control and others not. Simple, right? But this basic idea can transform your life once you truly understand it. Think about your last major setback. Maybe it was a job rejection, a failed relationship, or a missed opportunity. Now grab a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On one side, write what you could control about that situation. On the other, what you couldn't. Here's what happens. Most people waste enormous mental energy on things they can't influence. You can't change the weather, so why feel bad about it? As a single person, you can't change an election outcome either. That's decided by millions of people, and you're only one person. If you lose a job where the people in charge aren't being fair, what can you do that's outside your control? But how you did your work, that was all you. The effort you put into it, also you. This isn't just philosophy, it's practical mental fitness. Every time you catch yourself stressing about something, ask, is this in my control? If it's not, let it go completely. If it is, take action. Nothing in between. Look at what Epictetus had to work with. He was a slave. He owned nothing and could change very little material about his life before he was free. Yet he persevered. He kept his mind and his spirit strong. He had a worse deal than we do. Yet he lived with it and ultimately overcame it with the help of Stoic philosophy. Let Epictetus be your inspiration. If he could do it, you can too. We call our first technique the view from above. Let me show you how this works with a simple exercise you can do right now. Think of something that's bothering you and work through it like this. Say you just lost a job opportunity you really wanted. Your mind may be racing with thoughts like, I'm not good enough or I'll never succeed. This is where a thought process we call the control principle becomes your superpower. Take that situation and break it down. What could you control? Your presentation. That's on you. What couldn't you control? The other person. Their decision, by design, is outside your control. When you separate these elements, you stop carrying the weight of things you couldn't influence anyway. But here's the best part. Once you identify what you can control, you can develop an action plan. Maybe you can improve your interview skills, build a stronger portfolio, or expand your network. Suddenly, instead of feeling helpless, you're in the driver's seat. That's the kind of mental transition we want to make. Try this with any challenge you're facing. Draw the line separating what you can and can't control, and watch how your perspective shifts from feeling trapped to becoming empowered. Our second technique, self-dialogue, builds perfectly on what we just learned. Once you've identified what you can control, it's time to master the conversation happening in your own mind. Think about how you talk to yourself when things go wrong. Many of us become our own worst critics. I'm such a failure, nothing ever works out, I should just give up. Sound familiar? Here's a powerful shift. Instead of letting these thoughts run wild, imagine you're advising your best friend. You wouldn't tell your friend they're worthless after one setback. That's excessively negative. And you know it. You'd say something like, okay, what can we learn from this? Or this was a tough loss. But if we recover from this, we can win. Try this right now. Take that situation you just analyzed from technique 1. When those negative thoughts come up, pause and ask, what would I tell someone I care about in this situation then? Use that same compassionate, constructive voice with yourself. Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic, wrote his famous meditations as letters to himself. He knew that self-dialogue isn't just talk. It's how we reshape our entire perspective on challenges. This brings us to our third powerful technique, finding strength through role models. The Stoics understood something crucial. We learn best through examples, not just ideas. Remember Epictetus. He became a role model for countless others, and still is one today. Think about someone you admire who stays calm under pressure. Maybe it's a parent who faced adversity with grace, a politician who leads with poise, or even a fictional character who embodies resilience. The key isn't to idolize them, but to understand their thought process. Here's how to make this practical. When you're facing a challenge, ask yourself, how would my role model handle this? Maybe they'd take a step back before reacting. Maybe they'd look for the opportunity within the setback. Maybe they'd simply accept what they can't change and focus on what they can. Let me give you a modern example. When Admiral James Stockdale was a prisoner of war in Vietnam, he used Stoic principles to survive 7 years in captivity. He didn't just endure, he led other prisoners and emerged stronger, eventually landing a spot as a vice presidential candidate who shared his story with millions. Choose your role model carefully. Look for people who demonstrate real resilience, not just success. Study how they think in addition to what they achieved. Then, the next time you're in a crisis, think about how they would have handled it. We all need help from time to time. So let the example they set help you. Now we arrive at arguably the most powerful technique of all, reframing your so-called failures. Learn to see failure not as an endpoint, but as feedback. This isn't just positive thinking, it's a complete transformation in how you process setbacks. Think about Thomas Edison's famous response when asked about his thousands of failed attempts to create the light bulb. "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This isn't just a clever quote, it's Stoicism in action. Edison saw each failure as a data point, not a defeat, and he was one of America's greatest entrepreneurs. This is a man who had completely mastered success. When the history of America and the history of progress is told, Edison is always included. So here's how to make this shift for yourself. Next time something goes wrong, pause before the negative thoughts kick in. Ask yourself 3 questions. What did this teach me? What skills can I develop from this? And how does this prepare me for future opportunities? Let's make this concrete. Say that you pitch an idea at work, and it gets rejected. Instead of seeing it as proof you're not good enough, reframe it. You now know more about what your audience wants. You've gained presentation experience. You've built courage by putting yourself out there. Suddenly that failure becomes a stepping stone. This is exactly what Epictetus meant when he said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Every setback is raw material for growth if you know how to use it. So start with this, carefully examining the circumstances every time you use the word failure in your life. This mindset can become even more powerful if you learn to seek out challenging situations. If you search for opportunities where you once would have worried about failure, most people arrange their lives to minimize the possibility of failure. They stick to what they know, take the safe route, and avoid putting themselves in situations where they might fall short. But every major breakthrough in history, everyone came from someone who was willing to fail repeatedly. The Wright brothers crashed countless times before achieving flight. Marie Curie conducted thousands of failed experiments before winning the Nobel Prize. James Dyson created over 5,000 failed prototypes before inventing the vacuum cleaner that made him world famous. What these innovators understood was that failure isn't just something to be tolerated, it's an essential part of the discovery process. Remember that the goal isn't to fail less, it's to learn more from each failure. When you truly internalize this, you'll find yourself taking bigger risks, pursuing bolder goals, and achieving more success than everyone who played it safe. This brings us to our final technique, one that ties everything together: mental goal setting. The Stoics understood something profound about human nature. We often suffer not from the facts of our challenges, but from how we frame them. Here is what I mean. When you're facing a big goal, your mind might jump straight to the end result. I need to completely change my life, or I have to master this skill immediately. This all-or-nothing thinking is a recipe for feeling overwhelmed and giving up. Instead, think like a Stoic. Break down that mountain into manageable hills. If you want to change careers, don't start with "get my dream job." Start with "research one company today," or "update my resume to version 1. Remember, progress isn't about giant leaps. It's about consistent small steps. Try this approach. Take your big goal and break it into the smallest possible actions that you can't fail at, that you're sure you can do. For example, if you want to write a book, begin with the goal to write 1 paragraph. Everybody can write 4 lines. These micro goals might seem too easy, but that's exactly the point. Completing 100 micro goals, for example, adds up to one very big real goal. If your goal is to become a legend, Epicurus did it. He went from slave to renowned philosopher through countless small choices and actions made day after day. Your transformation can be achieved in the same way. As we approach the end here, let's put it all together. I'll show you how these 5 techniques work together through a real-world example. Meet Sarah, who just opened her dream coffee shop 6 months ago. After an exciting start, she's facing a serious challenge. Revenue is down 40% from her expectations, and she's wondering if she should close down. Let's walk through how Sarah can use each technique to make the right choice and then rebound. First, Sarah applies the control principle. She takes out her notebook and draws that line down the middle. On the can control side, her shop's quality, her menu offerings, and the effort she puts into marketing. On the count control side, rising coffee bean prices and ongoing road construction by the storefront. Immediately, she stops wasting energy worrying about the construction and starts focusing on what she can improve. Now comes self-dialogue. Instead of telling herself, "I'm a failure," or "my dream is dead," Sarah speaks to herself as she would to her best friend. You're learning the hardest part of business ownership right now. Every successful cafe owner faces setbacks like this. For role models, Sarah researches local success stories. She reaches out to the owner of a nearby restaurant, who becomes a mentor, sharing how they overcame similar challenges. Then comes reframing. Instead of seeing the 40% revenue drop as proof of failure, Sarah reframes it as valuable market feedback. Low afternoon sales mean she needs to innovate at that time of day. Customer complaints about limited seating get her to order more seating. Each problem becomes a clue for improvement. Finally, Sarah uses goal setting to break down her turnaround plan. Instead of the overwhelming goal of save the business, she creates smaller achievable targets. This week, survey 50 customers about their preferences. Next week, test 3 new menu items. End of month, redesign seating layout to add 6 more spots. This is the true power of these Stoic techniques. They don't just help you survive challenges, they show you how to use those challenges to become stronger than before. Whether you're starting a business, changing careers, or facing other life challenges, we hope these principles help you to find your way forward. Drop a comment below about your own journey with these techniques and with Stoicism in general. Your story might be exactly what another person needs to hear to start their own journey towards Stoic resilience. Remember, like Epicurus, you have the power to transform any circumstance into an opportunity for growth. Whether you're drawing that control line in your journal, practicing self-dialogue, or taking those small progressive steps forward, every moment is a chance to strengthen your inner fortress, to turn past failures into present strength. Finally, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more videos about transforming life's challenges into fuel for growth. Until next time, keep building your resilience, one Stoic technique at a time. What do you do when life gets tough? When it takes all of your strength just to survive? Because we've all had days when it felt like we got up and got punched in the face. And then we got up and got punched again. During the worst times, that's what that day means. That week, that year will feel like repeating that day every day for who knows how long. If your experience was like mine, it was rough. But what if I told you the secret to winning at life comes from those who take punches for a living? There are people who do this professionally. They take body blows for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Boxers and MMA fighters get in the ring and roll with the punches in order to compete and to win. In this video, we'll give you 5 principles based on Stoic wisdom and their example that you can use to get up and fight back after you've been knocked down. Because you can win in this life, all you need is a plan, the right prep operation, and the will to win. But you've got to be real about your situation and the circumstances of your life. As Mike Tyson once said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Tyson was talking about a fundamental truth that the ancient Stoics understood well. Life is going to throw unexpected challenges our way, regardless of how carefully we plan. The first principle in fighting back is to embrace this as an essential part of the human experience. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. By mentally rehearsing setbacks before they occur, we build the armor that protects us when adversity strikes. This isn't pessimism, it's preparation to keep us grounded in reality. Being adaptable means loosening our grip on expectations. When we cling too tightly to a desired outcome, we set ourselves up for devastation when things go sideways. We should be more like a boxer who adjusts their stance in the face of our opponent's jabs. With mental flexibility, we can pivot quickly when circumstances change. The unexpected punch is rarely about you personally. The Stoics emphasize this distinction between events and our judgments about them. A flight cancellation, a rejection letter, or a sudden illness aren't personal attacks. They're simply events that require us to adjust. By separating the circumstance from our interpretation of it, we create space for clearer thinking and better responses. True mental preparation isn't about controlling external events. That's too much to ask. It's about controlling our response to them. Just as fighters train not only their bodies, but also their minds to stay calm under pressure, we have to practice staying cool when our plans collapse. This stability becomes an asset when life surprises us, and real life always will. So get out there. Know that the punches are coming, and some of them are going to land. You're not alone. We all have to deal with this. But know also that mentally, you'll be ready for them. You are strong, You are capable, and you can do this. Carry that thought in your heart. And that brings us to our second principle, to be ready to take those hits. You have to strengthen your mental resilience. Like a boxer who trains daily to take hits, you must build your mental toughness one day at a time. A boxer doesn't become able to absorb punches overnight. It takes daily training with increasing intensity. You have to get in the ring and train. Run, move, exert yourself. That's how a boxer does it. You have to do the equivalent in your life. Resilience comes from intentional practice. Start with little inconveniences: a delayed train, a spilled coffee, a technology failure. Use these small setbacks as opportunities to practice equanimity rather than blowing up with frustration. Each controlled response strengthens your resilience muscle. The Stoics advocated for voluntary discomfort. This means deliberately placing yourself in uncomfortable situations to build your tolerance for difficulty. Cold showers, fasting, sleeping on a hard floor. These practices weren't meant as punishment, but as training. By choosing discomfort in controlled doses, you expand your capacity to handle the discomforts life gives you. And you can be sure that, since this is real life, they are coming. The mental resilience also requires keeping perspective. As Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. A resilient mind recognizes that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. The pain of a setback is real, but the narrative we construct around it, that it's unbearable, unfair, or permanent, creates additional suffering. We can control that part. We can make that part go away because that's in our mind, and we can learn to control our mind. Your resilience isn't measured by avoiding problems, but by your capacity to deal with them. If you start watching your mind, you'll become better at this through practice. What once seemed overwhelming eventually becomes manageable. Then it becomes easy. Then you win. But before you get to that point, you must play your cards right. Remember that recovery is as important as exertion. That may mean stepping back, or even away from the action for a minute. This balance between pushing forward and knowing when to rest leads us to our third principle, mastering strategic retreat. In the arena of life, knowing when to advance is only half the battle. You also have to know when to step back. This doesn't mean surrender. This means you have to strategize. Consider a seasoned boxer facing a stronger opponent. When caught in a barrage of punches, they don't just stand their ground. Instead, they slip, duck, clinch, or back up to create distance. They try to conserve energy while their opponent tires themselves out. The experienced fighter knows that survival in this round creates opportunity in later ones. As Seneca noted, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. If you are facing the angry attack of the world, you can withdraw, even if only for a moment. This wisdom applies beyond the ring. If you're in the process of being overwhelmed, a strategic retreat allows you to preserve your resources. Every confrontation drains your mental, emotional, and physical reserves. Sometimes the wisest move is to disengage, allowing yourself to regroup rather than depleting yourself completely. Gain perspective. In the heat of conflict, our vision narrows. Stepping back creates space to see the bigger picture, identify patterns, and develop counter-strategies. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Choose better battles. Not every hill is worth dying on. A strategic retreat lets you select where and when to make your stand, based on your strengths, not your opponents. Outlast your challenges. Many of life's difficulties are endurance tests. The person who can weather the storm through intelligent defense often emerges victorious in the end. This principle appears throughout history and nature. Military generals, from Sun Tzu to Eisenhower, emphasize the value of strategic withdrawal. The mighty oak that refuses to bend will break in the storm. The flexible reed will survive. Epictetus taught us, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Master the art of strategic withdrawal in your own life. Sometimes you must absorb the punches. Other times you must sidestep them. And occasionally you must back away entirely, not as defeat, but as a precursor to victory. The strongest person isn't the one who never retreats. It's the winner of the battle, the sum of all the advances and retreats. If you have to retreat to fight another day, it's worth it. So consider doing that if it would help you with where you are in life right now. Sometimes, though, you can't retreat. Sometimes you have to take a loss. And for that, we have our fourth principle, the power of perspective. When life throws you to the ground, remember this: what appears as an obstacle may be an opportunity. Imagine standing at the edge of a challenge, heart pounding. Most see only the shadow of it, the dark side of it. But the warrior sees things differently. They see the training ground where greatness is born. They understand that the universe hasn't conspired against them, it has conspired to strengthen them. This is something more than optimism, it's strategic vision. The fighter who views a stronger opponent not as unfair punishment, but as a teacher has a psychological edge on their competition. While others ask, "Why me?" the Stoic warrior asks, "What am I meant to learn here?" Marcus Aurelius, emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle itself contains the solution. The resistance that builds your strength. Consider the diamond formed only through crushing pressure. Consider the sword tempered only through fire. Consider the champion created only through the struggle with those they have defeated. Nothing exceptional emerges from comfort. Ask yourself, how comfortable are you right now? When you shift your perspective, everything changes. The promotion you lost becomes the redirection you needed. The relationship that ended becomes the lesson that prepared you. The failure that humbled you becomes the wisdom that elevated you. When you see your obstacles as training that makes you stronger, you become more powerful. And through that power, you can rise above. But perspective alone isn't enough. The path forward demands more than understanding. It requires action. It requires resolve. Which brings us to our fifth and final principle. To transform perspective into victory, you must develop an unbreakable will. The true measure of a fighter is found in the number of times they've risen from the ground, with determination dancing in their eyes. It's not about never falling, it's about refusing to stay down. Think of the boxing legends who took devastating blows and then rose from the mat. They weren't superhuman. They possessed something more valuable than a title. They had an unbreakable will. This is the mentality that separates champions from contenders. The Stoics understood this, as Epictetus, a slave before becoming a philosopher, taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters. Your circumstances may be beyond your control, but your response to them is entirely in your hands. This is where your power lives. When life delivers that unexpected uppercut, remember, you don't need to control everything to win. You only need to control what's within your grasp, your thoughts, your actions, and your will. Like a fighter who focuses not on the crowd or on the judges, but solely on the opponent before them. Direct your energy to the places where it can make a difference. An unbreakable will is very different from mere optimism. It combines clear-eyed acceptance of reality with relentless forward motion. It's the quiet voice that says, "Not today," when defeat seems certain. It's the resolve that turns impossible into done. Each time you rise after being knocked down, you strengthen your will. Each obstacle you face down builds your mental fortitude. You become a seasoned fighter whose body bears the scars of battle, but whose spirit remains unbowed. Remember, in life's toughest fights, victories don't always come from the hardest punches. They go to the person who lasts the longest, who refuses to lose or to submit. Develop an unbreakable will, and no challenge will ever defeat you. In the arena of life, we all face moments that test our resolve and challenge our spirit. Like fighters in the ring, we must learn to absorb the blows, adapt to changing circumstances, and emerge stronger than before. The 5 Stoic principles we've explored offer a blueprint for not just surviving life's toughest battles, but for winning them. By embracing reality through premeditation of difficulties, we prepare our minds for the inevitable challenges ahead. This is practical wisdom that allows us to face life clear-eyed and ready. When we anticipate the punches, we mentally move out of the way. They lose their power to devastate us. Through deliberate practice and voluntary discomfort, we build the resilience needed to withstand life's hardest hits. Just as a fighter trains daily to strengthen their body, we must consistently train our minds to handle adversity. Each small challenge we overcome builds the mental muscle needed for life's toughest surprises. The wisdom of strategic retreat reminds us that sometimes victory comes not from standing our ground, but from knowing when to step back. Instead of surrendering, you use tactical wisdom to preserve your strength for the battles that truly matter. The greatest fighters know that longevity often determines who will be the winner. When we master the power of perspective, we transform obstacles into opportunities. What others see as misfortune becomes the training ground for our strengths to develop. The challenges that could have broken us become the forge in which our character is strengthened. Finally, an unbreakable will transforms understanding into action. It's the quiet determination that refuses to stay down when life knocks us to the canvas. It's not about never falling down, which over a lifetime is impossible. It's about rising every time we fall, with resolve burning in our eyes. Life will continue to throw its punches. That's the nature of existence. But armed with these Stoic principles, you can do more than merely survive. You can thrive. You can transform each setback into a comeback. You can turn each obstacle into an opportunity. The true victory in life doesn't go to those who never face difficulty, but to those who face it with courage, wisdom, and an unyielding spirit. Now step into the ring of life with confidence. Take the hits and win. In upcoming videos, we'll dive deeper into specific techniques for applying these principles to different areas of your life. Most importantly, we'll show you how to adapt their strategies to your unique challenges. Whether you're dealing with workplace stress, personal setbacks, or simply the daily grind that slowly wears you down, we encourage you to customize these Stoic principles for your situation. Our goal with this channel is to provide you with templates and frameworks that make it easy to apply Stoic wisdom to the circumstances of your life. Finally, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more videos about turning life's challenges into fuel for growth. Your support does more than just grow our channel. It helps spread these powerful ideas to others who might be struggling with the very challenges you've overcome. Each subscription, comment, and share helps this community expand its reach and impact. Your support helps this channel continue to spread our message to thousands of viewers. Until next time, remember that Stoicism isn't just about enduring hardship. It's about thriving because of it. Every challenge contains within it the seeds of future victory. Your opportunity to seize it starts now. Change feels like one of those big, intimidating mountains to climb. We're all looking for the shortcut, the quick fix that will change everything in an instant. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that transformation has to happen overnight, that we need to take dramatic leaps or make drastic changes in order to see real progress. I get it, I've been there. You set a goal, and at first the excitement is there. The motivation feels like a fire ready to burn through anything in its way. But after a few days, that fire dims, and suddenly the whole thing feels too big, too overwhelming, so you stop. But what if I told you that the key to real, lasting change isn't in the grand gestures, but in the tiny, consistent steps? What if the transformation you're looking for was never meant to be a giant leap, but a series of small steps taken day by day that build on each other? That's the power of incremental change. It's easy to dismiss small actions as meaningless or too insignificant to make a difference. But it's these very actions that, over time, compound and create real progress. The first step starts with realizing that real change doesn't happen overnight. It's not about perfection, ease. It's about progression. 7 days might seem like a small amount of time, but it's enough to create the foundation for something greater. In this video, you'll see how simple daily actions, things you can start today, can start shaping your future self. By the end of the week, you'll begin to notice the shift in your mindset, your energy, and your clarity. Are you ready to see what's possible in just 7 days? Before we begin, please subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss out on more amazing videos like this. Let's get started. Micro-learning, or informal learning as a daily routine. Staying sharp in today's world feels like a constant battle. We're bombarded by distractions at every turn, social media notifications, the never-ending stream of news, the constant pull of entertainment. It's hard to keep up with everything, let alone take the time to focus on something that truly expands our knowledge. Our attention spans are shorter, our minds pulled in a million directions. And yet we all know the value of learning, of growing, evolving, and staying curious. But how do we make room for that in a world that seems to move faster than we can keep up? That's where the idea of micro-learning comes in. Micro-learning isn't about diving into textbooks or dedicating hours of your day to study. It's about small, bite-sized chunks of knowledge that you can consume daily in the midst of your busy life. We all know that we can't always sit down for an hour-long lecture or spend an entire afternoon reading a book. But what if instead, you dedicated just 5 to 10 minutes every day to learning something new? You could watch a short video on YouTube about a topic that interests you, listen to a podcast during your morning commute, or read an article while you wait for your coffee. The key is to seek out small, digestible pieces of information that spark your curiosity. This habit doesn't require a huge commitment. It's about building a routine that keeps your mind engaged and open to new ideas. Pick something that piques your interest, whether it's learning about a historical event, discovering new productivity techniques, or exploring a completely new skill. The beauty of micro-learning is its flexibility. You can make it fit into your day no matter how busy you are. Maybe you listen to a podcast on your lunch break or watch a quick YouTube video while you unwind in the evening. It doesn't matter when or how long, as long as you make it a regular part of your routine. What does this do for you? Well, aside from keeping your mind sharp, it expands your worldview. It helps you see things from new perspectives, fueling your curiosity and sparking ideas you never would have had otherwise. In a world that often feels overwhelming, microlearning is a powerful tool to stay adaptable and engaged. It's the perfect antidote to mental fatigue because it doesn't require long hours of focus. It's just a few minutes a day, but those minutes add up, building a steady rhythm of growth. Think about it. Over a week, a month, or even a year, those small pieces of knowledge start to accumulate. Suddenly, you're more well-read, more knowledgeable, and more confident in your ability to adapt to change. Even when life feels like it's moving at full speed, micro-learning gives you a chance to catch your breath and keep growing, one small step at a time. And that's the magic of it. When you embrace this habit, you're not just learning facts, you're building a mindset of curiosity and resilience. In a world that constantly demands more of us, micro-learning helps us stay present and evolve without feeling overwhelmed. So what can you learn today? What's something you've always wanted to explore but never had the time for? Take a few minutes today to dive into that and see how it feels. You'll be surprised by how much it enriches your life and sharpens your mind. One small piece at a time. The key is consistency, and in just 7 days, you'll find that those small steps are already starting to lay the foundation for a more curious, adaptable, and well-informed version of yourself. Embrace the warrior mentality. There's a strange, almost magnetic pull toward comfort, isn't there? We all crave ease, whether it's lounging on the couch after a long day, choosing the path of least resistance, or avoiding those things that make us uncomfortable. And yet, it's when we face discomfort that growth begins. But let's be honest, discomfort feels hard, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. It's easy to back away when we feel weak or overwhelmed. Our minds start to convince us that we're not ready, that we're not strong enough. We tell ourselves, "I'll do it tomorrow," and in that moment, we choose comfort over growth. But what if there was another way? Let's take a look at the warrior mentality. Imagine waking up each day with the mindset of someone who thrives in discomfort, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. The warrior doesn't run from difficulty, they face it head-on, knowing that every obstacle is an opportunity to grow stronger. The warrior trains their mind to embrace the struggle because they understand that only by pushing beyond their limits can they discover their true potential. This is the mentality that separates those who stay stagnant from those who constantly evolve. It's not about having the best circumstances. It's about having the strength to thrive no matter what the circumstances are. And you can cultivate this strength one step at a time. For the next 7 days, challenge yourself to take on something difficult, something that makes you uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be the hardest thing you've ever done. The key is to push yourself just beyond your current limits. Maybe you wake up 30 minutes earlier than usual, forcing yourself to start the day with focus and purpose. Perhaps it's committing to a workout that pushes your physical boundaries or tackling a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. It could even be choosing to sit with your emotions, facing them head-on instead of numbing or running from them. Whatever it is, make it deliberate. Make it a small, actionable step toward embracing discomfort every single day. This practice isn't about being reckless or forcing yourself to endure unnecessary pain. It's about understanding that true growth lies in that space, just beyond your comfort zone. Every time you choose to face discomfort, you're building resilience, muscle for the mind and body. The warrior knows that discomfort isn't the enemy, it's the forge where strength is made. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, knew this well. He believed that endurance, the ability to withstand difficulty, was a cornerstone of growth. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This isn't just a quote, it's a philosophy that teaches us to embrace what challenges us, because it's these very challenges that shape our character. So, as you move through this week, remember that every obstacle is a chance to train your mind, to harden your spirit, and to grow stronger. The discomfort you face is not a signal to stop, it's a sign that you're on the right path. Each time you lean into that discomfort, you're building the resilience that will carry you through anything life throws your way. At the end of the week, you'll look back not just on the hard things you've done, but on the person you've become in the process. Strength is forged in discomfort. The warrior mentality isn't something you're born with, it's something you build one step at a time. And as you do, you'll find yourself more prepared for whatever challenges lie ahead, knowing that you are capable of much more than you ever imagined. Build discipline through daily practice. We've all been there, dreaming big, setting lofty goals, and imagining the incredible results we want to see. We get excited, ready to jump in and make a change. But then the hard truth sets in. Results don't happen overnight. The idea of instant transformation, of suddenly being great at something, feels enticing, but it's far from realistic. We want to skip past the struggle and get straight to the end where success is waiting. But facing reality is realizing that success doesn't come from shortcuts. It comes from consistent daily effort. It comes from the discipline to keep showing up even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the key that unlocks all the potential you've been hoping to tap into. I'll give you an example. Think of someone who seems naturally gifted at something. Maybe they're a musician, an athlete, or even a writer. It's easy to assume they were born with that talent, but the truth is, talent only gets you so far. The real difference between those who succeed and those who don't is the commitment to consistent practice. I remember hearing about a musician who was far from the most naturally talented in his class. He didn't have the natural ease others seemed to possess. But what he had was discipline. He practiced relentlessly every single day. Over time, his commitment turned what seemed like an insurmountable challenge into second nature. The truth is, discipline trumps talent every time. It's the muscle that turns raw potential into results. For the next 7 days, I challenge you to choose one area of your life, whether it's a skill you want to develop, a fitness goal you want to achieve, or a personal habit you want to strengthen, and practice it daily. Whether it's 10 minutes or an hour, Make it a non-negotiable part of your routine. It's not about doing it perfectly. It's about showing up and doing the work, even when you don't feel like it. Over the week, you'll start to see the compound effect of your efforts. Small actions repeated consistently begin to add up. What seemed like a slow, insignificant effort at first will snowball into something powerful. You'll start to notice improvements in your skill, your focus, and your confidence. That's the beauty of discipline. It doesn't require perfection, only persistence. But discipline isn't just about achieving external results. It's about building character. Every time you choose to practice, you're not just getting better at your chosen skill. You're growing as a person. You're teaching yourself the value of persistence, the power of consistency, and the strength that comes from pushing through resistance. It's a reminder that growth is a process and perfection is an illusion. You don't need to be perfect to improve. You don't need to get it right every time. What matters is that you show up again and again and trust that each practice session is a step closer to mastery. Discipline isn't about being the best right now. It's about becoming better than you were yesterday. And when you take that approach, the results will follow naturally and steadily. So let go of the expectation of instant success and embrace the process. The results are inevitable when you commit to the work. Discipline, after all, is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Organize your space for greater clarity and productivity. Clutter has a way of creeping into our lives, doesn't it? Whether it's piles of paper on our desks, a chaotic inbox, or a cluttered mind that can't focus for more than a few minutes. The mess adds up. At first, it seems harmless, just one more thing to deal with later. But over time, the clutter starts to weigh on us. It distracts us, makes it harder to think clearly, and drains our energy. You've probably experienced this. The more cluttered things get, the more overwhelmed you feel. Your mind mirrors the mess around you, constantly distracted and clouded, making it harder to focus and be productive. It's as if the physical mess outside reflects an internal state of disorganization. So how do we break free from this constant feeling of overwhelm? The key lies in organizing your environment. The simple act of clearing clutter can do wonders for your mental clarity. When your space is clean, everything becomes easier. You can find what you need quickly. Your mind feels less chaotic, and the energy in the room shifts. A tidy space creates room for better thinking. It's no coincidence that when we feel productive, our surroundings tend to be more organized. A well-kept space isn't just about appearances, it's about functionality. It's about reducing distractions so your mind can focus on what truly matters. Organizing your environment isn't just about creating an aesthetically pleasing space. It's about giving yourself the mental clarity to think more clearly, to work with focus, and to live with intention. I'd love to challenge you this coming week to spend just 5 to 10 minutes a day decluttering or organizing one space in your life. Maybe start with your desk, clear off papers, organize your files, and give yourself a clean slate to work with. Or tackle your digital space, sort through your emails, delete files you no longer need, and organize your digital folders. Pick one small area each day, and as you declutter, notice how it makes you feel. At first, it might seem like a small, insignificant effort, but as you continue this habit each day, you'll start to see the cumulative impact. Each small act of tidying up creates more room for focus, creativity, and productivity. It's the compound effect of creating an environment where clarity can thrive. As you clear the physical clutter, take a moment to reflect on how it affects your mental state. A clean space doesn't just help you be more productive, it helps you think more clearly. It creates the mental space to focus on what's important. Just like how decluttering a room makes it easier to find what you need, organizing your thoughts and priorities becomes much easier when your environment is clean and intentional. When you make room in your surroundings, you make room in your mind. The less cluttered your environment, the more space you have to focus on your goals, your passions, and your growth. So take the first step. Start with one area today. The small wins will build up, and soon you'll realize that by organizing your space, you've also organized your mind. A clean environment isn't just about external order, it's about creating the mental clarity that leads to true productivity and peace of mind. Exercise to boost body and mind. We've all been there. The gym membership, the workout routine, the motivation that comes in waves and quickly fades. At first, we're determined to make fitness a priority. We set goals, buy the gear, and start off strong. But then, somewhere along the way, it starts to feel like a chore. The motivation wanes, and working out feels like something we have to do rather than something we want to do. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of pushing through just to check the box. But we know deep down that it's not working. Exercise starts to feel like a burden rather than a gift. So what if we could change that? What if we could see exercise not just as a physical obligation, but as an opportunity to elevate not only our bodies, but also our minds? Exercise is far more than just a way to stay in shape. It's a powerful tool for mental and emotional well-being. When you move your body, you do more than burn calories and build strength. You're improving your mood, reducing stress, and sharpening your mind. Studies show that regular physical activity boosts brain function, improves memory, and helps with emotional regulation. It's like a reset button for your mind. The endorphins released during exercise can lift your mood, calm your nerves, and increase your sense of focus and clarity. Exercise isn't just about looking better, it's about feeling better inside and out. It's a connection that many overlook, but when you begin to experience it for yourself, it becomes impossible to ignore. A workout can be the reset your mind needs to tackle life's challenges with resilience and focus. For the next week, commit to starting with just 10 minutes of exercise each day. Keep it simple and achievable. Consistency is more important than intensity right now. Maybe you start with a brisk walk, some bodyweight exercises like push-ups or squats, or even a quick yoga session. The goal is not to push your limits right away, but to show up every day. Get your body moving, even if it's just for a short time. As you build this habit, try mixing it up to avoid the monotony of doing the same thing every day. Try a new workout style, explore a different activity, or challenge yourself in a new way. The key here is consistency. Don't worry about making it perfect. Just commit to doing it daily. Over time, those 10 minutes will feel less like a task and more like a vital part of your routine. As you continue to exercise, think about the bigger picture. Each time you push yourself physically, you're also pushing yourself mentally and emotionally. Exercise builds resilience. It's not just about physical endurance. It's about learning how to push through discomfort, to show up even when you don't feel like it, and to grow through challenges. That moment when you feel like you can't go any further, whether you're running, lifting weights, or stretching, arm stretching, can teach you more about yourself than any other task. The mental toughness you develop in these moments carries over into other areas of life. You learn that you can handle more than you thought. You learn to sit with discomfort knowing that it's temporary, and that growth often comes from pushing beyond what you thought were your limits. So, as you commit to these daily workouts, remember that you're not just training your body, you're strengthening your mind, your emotions, and your resilience. Exercise isn't just physical, it's a tool for becoming the best version of yourself. When you show up for your body, you're also showing up for your mental and emotional growth. As we reflect on the past week, it's easy to see that small, intentional actions add up in ways we don't always notice at first. Whether it was dedicating a few minutes each day to learning something new, embracing discomfort to build resilience, committing to daily practice, organizing your space for clarity, or incorporating exercise to strengthen both body and mind. Each of these habits has laid the groundwork for something bigger. The key takeaway here is simple. 7 days, while short, is more than enough to get the ball rolling. It's the start of a journey, not the end. These small habits are like seeds that, with consistency, will grow into something meaningful and life-changing. But don't stop here. As you continue to integrate these habits into your routine, you'll begin to notice not just changes in the external world around you, but internal shifts as well. Each day you show up for yourself. Each time you decide to practice discipline, push through discomfort, or make space for growth, you're creating momentum. The beauty of momentum is that once it's in motion, it becomes easier to keep going. Each step forward builds on the one before, creating a ripple effect of change. It's not about achieving perfection or expecting instant results. It's about committing to the process, trusting that each small action compounds over time, leading to lasting transformation. Change, as we know, is rarely immediate, and it's certainly not always linear, but every day you put in the effort, you're reinforcing the foundation of a better version of yourself. The work you put in now is what will pay off in the future. So keep going. Remember, the road to transformation is gradual, and it's worth it. It's not about reaching a destination. It's about the ongoing journey of growth, resilience, and self-discovery. If you found these habits helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. What habit are you most excited to continue? What other changes are you working on in your life? Let's keep this conversation going and build momentum together. Here's to your continued growth. Imagine you are the most powerful person in the world. You have millions of people under your command, and you can do whatever you want. But you also face constant threats, wars, diseases, and betrayals. How would you cope with such a life? This was the reality of Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who lived almost 2,000 years ago. He was also a follower of Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that teaches us how to live well in any situation. Stoicism helps us focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. In this video, we will explore how you can apply Stoicism to your daily life and how it can make you happier and more resilient. What is the most important thing in life? Is it money, fame, power, or happiness for the Stoics, a school of ancient philosophers? The answer was simple. It was virtue. Virtue means living according to reason and nature and doing what is right and good. But how can we achieve virtue in a world full of distractions, temptations, and troubles? The Stoics had a core principle that guided them. Focus on your own actions and thoughts instead of worrying about what others do or what happens around you. This principle may sound simple, but it is not easy to follow. It requires constant self-awareness, self-discipline, and self-improvement. It also requires courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. These are the four cardinal virtues of Stoicism, and they help us to act rationally and morally in any situation. One of the most famous Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, could have easily been overwhelmed by his responsibilities and problems or corrupted by his power and wealth, but he did not let that happen. He practiced Stoicism every day by writing in his journal, meditating on his principles, and applying them to his actions. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He also wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." He understood that he could not control everything that happened around him, but he could control how he reacted to them. He focused on what he could do, not on what he could not do. He focused on what was in his power, not on what was outside his power. How do you know what you can control and what you can't? Stoicism gives us a simple rule. You can control your own reactions and attitudes, but you can't control other people's actions or natural events. For example, you can't control the weather, but you can control how you dress for it. You can't control what someone says to you, but you can control how you respond to them. Why is this distinction important? Because it frees you from wasting your energy and emotions on things that are beyond your reach. Instead of getting angry, frustrated, or anxious about things you can't change, you can focus on improving yourself and your choices. This leads to a peaceful mind and a happier life. How do you start your day? Do you check your phone, watch the news, or rush to get ready? These habits can make you feel anxious and distracted. Instead, try this. Before you do anything else, take a moment to reflect on what you want to achieve and how you will react to challenges. This will help you set your intentions and prepare your mind for the day ahead. The Stoics also practiced mindfulness. Being mindful means paying attention to what you're doing and why you're doing it. It also means being aware of your emotions and thoughts without letting them control you. Throughout the day, try to stay present and attentive to your actions, making sure they align with your values. For example, if you value honesty, don't lie or cheat. If you value kindness, don't be rude or mean. By being mindful, you will avoid regret and guilt and feel more satisfied with yourself. Marcus Aurelius was a great emperor who faced many challenges. He had to deal with wars, plagues, and betrayals from his own family, but he never gave up or lost his calm. He followed Stoicism, a way of thinking that helped him focus on his own actions and accept what he couldn't control. You can learn from Marcus and become more resilient too. Stoicism teaches you to see things as they are, not as you wish they were. It helps you to deal with stress, anger, and fear. It shows you how to live in harmony with yourself and others. How can you practice Stoicism every day? Let's find out. One of the best ways to learn from Stoicism is to reflect on your day every night before you go to sleep. Ask yourself these questions. What did I do well today? What did I do poorly? How can I improve tomorrow? This will help you identify your strengths and weaknesses and make a plan to grow as a person. Stoicism is not a quick fix, but a lifelong journey. You can't expect to master it in a day or even a year. You have to keep practicing it every day. In every situation, remember what Marcus Aurelius said: the art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. You have to be ready to face challenges and overcome them with courage and wisdom. You have learned a lot about Stoicism and how it can help you focus on yourself and cope with challenges. But how can you make it a part of your daily life? Let's recap the main points and see how you can practice them every day. 1. Remember that Stoicism is based on the idea that you can only control your own thoughts, actions, and reactions. Everything else is outside your control and not worth worrying about. This can free you from anxiety, anger, and frustration. 2. Practice self-focus by paying attention to your inner state and aligning it with reason and virtue. Don't let external events or other people's opinions disturb your peace of mind. Instead, focus on what you can do to improve yourself and contribute to the common good. 3. Develop resilience by facing difficulties with courage and wisdom. Learn from the example of Marcus Aurelius, who faced many hardships as an emperor but never lost his calm and dignity. He used his journal to reflect on his challenges and remind himself of Stoic principles. And finally, engage in reflective exercises to review your day and assess your progress. Every evening, ask yourself what you did well, what you did wrong, and what you can do better tomorrow. This will help you grow as a person and as a Stoic. By following these steps, you can embrace Stoicism as a way of life and enjoy its benefits, just like Marcus Aurelius. With a little practice each day, you can learn to focus on yourself and live a life full of peace and resilience. Fellow Stoics, we're trying something new and exciting. The topic of our next video on Stoicism will be chosen by you. Here is how it works. Drop a comment below with a Stoicism topic or question you'd love to see covered. Browse through the suggestions and give a thumbs up to the ones you find interesting. The comment with the most likes will be the focus of our next video. This is your chance to guide our journey into Stoicism. Can't wait to see your suggestions and dive deep into the topic you choose. Now that you have learned some Stoic principles and how to practice them daily, it's time to challenge yourself. Don't just watch this and forget about it. Put it into action every day. Try to focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. See how it changes your mood, your relationships, and your life. This is not easy, but it is worth it. And remember, you are not alone in this journey. You have the wisdom of the Stoics to guide you and the example of Marcus Aurelius to inspire you. He was a man who faced many challenges, but never lost his calm and his virtue. He wrote in his meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Until next time, I hope you will find strength in these words and in yourself. Leave a thumbs up to help us reach more people in search of ancient wisdom. If you are new here, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more lessons on ancient wisdom. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, the key to a good life is focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't.